what point did the change happen? What hit you and said, you have to stop?
I got into a car accident, driving under the influence, and I ended up in gun club. And it wasn't my first time. I think repeated humiliations and repeated visits over a span of, let's just say 10 years of building my life up, tearing it down, building my life up, tearing it down. I was in the teardown, and kind of when I came to out of my stupor, and I was like looking at myself in an orange jumpsuit in general population, and just kind of like praying to God that I wasn't where I thought I was. And I was on the second floor of general population on a cot, dried snot, tears, coming out of being heavily intoxicated. And physically I was tired. Emotionally, I was beaten. Spiritually, I was broken. I had my finances were in ruin. My career was, I know, shot. Just sitting up and being, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm an alcoholic. I can't do this anymore.
Matt Williams, brother, welcome to the Man of War podcast. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right. So before going live here, we had a discussion. I know that you've had a very diverse life. You've gone through a lot. But before we get started, can you introduce yourself to people that may not know who you are?
Yeah. My name is Matt Williams. I'm originally from New York. Been down here in Florida since 2010. Former education coach, and started life over in 2010 when I got sober, and essentially started Fropo Snack Bar, which wasn't started to be a business, but it was just like a fun hobby that I shared with people, and grew into what it is today, where we're, selling in 36 states, large retailers like Whole Foods, gyms, juice bars, Amazon, direct to consumer, website stuff, you name it. Also own and operate a gym right next to it. So everything's kind of really hyper local to this community. And I kind of look at it as like the community is something that, was there for me when I was at my worst, and kind of like pick me up, love me when I couldn't love myself. And it's really awesome to be a business owner and be able to give back. That was, like what was given to me. And I know some of your former guests that have been on this show that I'm connected to that were very helpful in my life. So grateful to be here.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about, let's go backwards here, right? Sure. So let's start from the very beginning, okay? Right. So you, what happened? What was your difficult time in your life? Where were you mentally, maybe even spiritually at that time when you were kind of, drinking and you were diving deep into your own devices?
Yeah. I kind of had that double life. I'm sure you've heard it if anybody that's been in this sobriety space or the journey of it. I was working. I was a professional. I did everything to maintain the facade of being a professional teacher and coach. And I was also a bartender and, lived that nightlife. And that was in the Northeast. And I brought it, wherever you go, there you are. When I came down here trying to quote unquote start over. Sure. I was still the same person. I wasn't doing anything different. So eventually it caught up with me again. And I was faced with the decision to either get help, ask for help and accept help, or continue down that road. Fortunately, I had some good people that in 2010, when I went to them and I was like, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict, and I need help. And I was finally able to say that. I still had a couple people in my life that I hadn't pushed away that were like, here's what we're going to do. And I kind of listened to every suggestion they gave me. So
how did you get there? I always think I've never had the experience of being an alcoholic or a drug addict or anything like that. But in my 18 years in law enforcement, I met a lot. Sure. Okay. People who were just so, I guess, entrenched in a different path. Right. Yeah. And a lot of them good people. They just had gone down a road where, it's just, day after day. So how did you get there? Well, what brought you there really?
Well, I think it's a lot of pain and suffering, right? Like, and again, for you being in law enforcement and probably seeing that. Yeah. I never thought I was a bad person. Yeah. Right. I was raised by amazing people, great family, grew up in New York, had every opportunity handed to me, and worked hard. But at some point I stepped over a line where I couldn't control my drinking, in all its forms. And it wasn't an everyday thing. It wasn't, I need this, but the minute I was out and about and, I consumed, it was off to the races. You know, there was no real off switch. There was no real, hey, let's taper this down. It was like, I just liked having fun and being around good people, kind of like I am now without the alcohol and drugs in the community. I loved being around people. I loved having a good time.
Yeah.
But I crossed over a line where I had no power of choice anymore. I lost that power, and it just consumed me until I wanted more.
So it started, I guess, in the nightlife and just you going out with buddies and
it started when I was like a young kid, but it led to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and then you get hooked on that, right? It's almost like that's your fix.
Yeah.
Right. You go back to it and back to it, and you get hungry to do it again and again.
Oh yeah. So even when it like hurts you, I still went back to it trying to prove a different way that it wouldn't hurt me that way.
Yeah. So then tell me, at what point did the change happen? What hit you and said, you have to stop?
You're familiar with Gun Club?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very familiar.
I'm sure. Well, I got into a car accident, driving under the influence, and I ended up in Gun Club. And it wasn't my first time. I think repeated humiliations and repeated visits over a span of, let's just say 10 years of building my life up, tearing it down, building my life up, tearing it down. I was in the teardown, and kind of when I came to out of my stupor, and I was like looking at myself in an orange jumpsuit in general population, and just kind of like praying to God that I wasn't where I thought I was. And I was on the second floor of general population on a cot, dried snot, tears, coming out of being heavily intoxicated, and just sitting up and being like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm an alcoholic. I can't do this anymore. That was it. Yeah. And it wasn't like anything else other than the fact that I had, like we talked before, we talked about emotional, physical, and I talk about those a lot. Like physically, I was tired. Emotionally, I was beaten. Spiritually, I was broken. I had my finances were in ruin. Yeah. My career was, shot. The girl I was dating didn't really understand how bad my alcoholism was. My family loved me from afar, which they had every right to. And I didn't have a ton of friends because I pushed a lot of people away. Because if you talk to me about my alcoholism or my drinking, I would tell you to go somewhere else. Yeah. I would listen, but I also be like, hey, that's cool. Like when you live my life, then you can tell me. Without
a doubt. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
And I was on the other side of that many times, where I had to take people that were good dudes. Like eventually I even had several, friendships with people who I had arrested, and, they were blasted. And so to me, seeing that, especially being drunk behind the wheel, being intoxicated behind the wheel, I take, that's important, because it's not just, the driver's life, right? It's other people's life. I mean, we've seen, intoxicated drivers kill kids and all. And I remember one time, crazy that I will never forget this, probably forever. We responded to a call of a guy being ran over in the middle of the street. And it was a young girl. She was probably, from what I remember, about 20 years old. Yeah. And I remember that they told us, okay, this is where she went. Here's when we got on scene. Person's dead, killed the guy. But every witness there said, hey, they saw that she hit the guy and like dragged him for 100 yards in front of the car. And when we finally tracked the car down, and I never forget, it was a Jaguar, and I have a picture of it on my phone still, and I show my kids. It's back then the Jaguar had like a little mouth, right? Like it's the little, right?
I remember.
And we get to the house, and it's actually a pretty nice house. We're like, damn, it's a pretty nice house. So, and the Jaguar matches the one that was on the scene. And I start looking at the car. I do a walkthrough, and I don't see anything weird until I look at the Jaguar's mouth. Had a big piece of flesh in his mouth. Like, I was like, damn, So we called the evidence team, and they came in, and they confirmed, it's flesh and all that. So we went into the house, arrested her, and she was literally, I think, 20 years old. Nice looking girl, like. And I look back at things like that, and I often wonder, why that person went down that path, But I guess after a while, you tell me. After a while, it's so just part of you that you're not really thinking when you get behind the wheel or anything. You really don't have any accountability, I think, right? Is that the way that it?
Yeah, there's total lack of accountability. And it's just, I just want to get home or wherever I need to go.
Yeah.
And my style of drinking was, I would be, I share this, like if you and I were drinking, right? Mm-hmm. And we sat in this room, they could continuously bring us drinks and I'd be fine. But the minute I left this environment, in this room, in this studio, and I stepped out, that's when it would all hit.
Wow.
So I'd always feel like I was fine. But then it was time to go and my environment changed. It would just be full blackout. Wow. And it wasn't a choice. It wasn't an active choice. Like, hey, I'm going to go drink and drive and hopefully make it home. It's like, I just want to go home. I'm tired. I'm done drinking. It's over. I want to leave.
Yeah.
And I say this, like, I got sober before Uber. So there was like no calling an Uber, like taxis and stuff like that. But like, that wasn't in my thought process.
Sure.
Not because I'm not intelligent, but just, it was like, you want when you want it. And it's like, when I'm done doing my thing, I want to go home and I want to rest.
Sure.
And the thought process of anybody else never comes into play. At least it never did for me. Not because I was a selfish, self-centered person then. And I just wanted to be done.
So the arrest really, that's what kind of kicked you into.
I would say it's the first one where it was, I had been in drunk tanks. I had been in the back of cop cars. Thankfully, I'd never really heard anybody come close in the car and having people in the car before, being stupid as a kid, never anything to the result of what you just described, which I'm sorry you had to even see. And I'm grateful for that. I when I share that I drank and drove, it's not like a badge of honor. It's what I did. It was where I ended up, I wasn't raised to do that. It was, I just wanted what I wanted. And it was, when I'm done, I want to go home. So you experience that. And, it's like, how many times someone says, or you tell young kids or young adults, hey, don't drink and drive. Hey, don't do that. And it's like, you know it to be true, but in the process of it, you're not thinking that.
For sure.
You're not, nowadays you can be like, I can call a car service. I can call an Uber. I can call so many different things to get me out of whatever situation. But it just never happened that way for me.
18 years old, I think, or 17 years old. I remember going to Miami, buddies, South Beach, having a great time, getting completely blasted.
Right.
And then waking up the next morning in my car in a garage. And I woke up, I'm like, I had no idea where I was. I had no idea what day of the week it was. From then on, I was like, this will never happen to me again. And then the worst thing about it, let me tell you what the worst thing about it. I had been, and this is crazy, but I had been dating a girl, whatever, and she's like, man, you called me saying all these weird things and like, I don't even know who you were talking to and whatever. And I'm like, damn, I'm like, wow, I don't remember none of this. Yeah. I said from then on, no more, man.
And see, that's a normal response.
Yeah.
Like that is somebody that is able to take a situation, learn from it, and not have stepped over a line. And I think what happens to a lot of people, and again, this is my opinion, is whether it's gambling, alcohol, drugs, is here's how it's going to be different this time. And that definition of insanity of I'm going to keep doing the same thing over and over again and the same result happens. Sure. I'm going to end up in pain. I'm going to end up hurting somebody, losing money, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You try to prove to yourself that it's going to be different. And they talk about that a lot in the fellowships, in the rooms, in the recovery programs, where it's like, I'm going to try different ways to drink. I'm going to take a shot an hour. Mm-hmm. I'm only going to drink beer. I'm only going to do, and it's just like, for a normal person like yourself, you're like, well, that just sounds crazy. Yeah. And it is. Yeah. And that's where an alcoholic like me got to, where it's like, I'm only going to drink a little bit. I'm only going to do a little blow. I'm only going to do this. I'm only going to pop this. Nothing ever fulfilled that hole in the soul, which I didn't learn about until I got sober.
Was there an attitude ever like, and I see this often where it's like, I'm not really an addict. I can stop when I want to. Like, I can stop whenever I want to.
I don't think I ever said I can stop when I want to, because I don't think I ever really resigned to the fact that I wanted to stop.
Oh, there you go. You didn't even care. You just said, I'm going to keep on moving.
Kept getting worse, I'd be like, okay. And I wouldn't do things. Like, I would be fine for a while. And I would go about my life. My mom would always say, she's like, always was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Always was waiting for the thing to collapse. Because I maintained a relatively, I worked hard. I went to school. I went to grad school. I paid my bills. I went to work. I had several different jobs. I always kept going and pursuing life that I wanted to, but I'd always step a million steps backwards the minute I started drinking or using some form of substance. And it would just eventually ruin. And it's like they say, it's like two lives come and they collide together.
Crazy.
And eventually that happened in 2010 for me. And thankfully I had people here that were just like, what are you going to do, dude? And I was like, I finally was able to say, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict, I need help. What do I do? This is the first time I didn't have an answer, and I just asked for help.
AA.
Yeah.
I mean, is that okay? So let me put it this way. I think men need a lot of help.
Sure.
Okay, when they're going down that path.
Right.
But I've also heard that AA is sometimes not the best way to go. What is your? I mean, and what I mean by that is that there are other support groups that have a little bit more accountability, a little bit more push or influence in someone changing their life rather than an AA group. I don't know. What are your thoughts on all that?
So my thoughts on this, and I've been on podcasts before where they bring up the fellowship, right? And I'm just going to say the fellowship because I've watched comments from people on podcasts that are popular like yours where like, I can't believe he's talking about the program. You can talk about whatever you want. And I'm just going to address it as the fellowship just out of respect for that.
Perfect.
But the interesting thing is whatever it takes you to get sober, whatever you need to do or whatever you find, whatever's out there, whatever program, men's group, fellowship, 12-step, treatment center, whatever it is, whatever combination of all, some, whatever you find that helps you get sober, go do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like I know what worked for me because I've tried other things and they're great and I'm not knocking anything, but I know what works for me and I know what has worked for me. And it's the same thing. It's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I was broken. And the only thing that was like really connected to me was that fellowship to people that I had heard their stories and their life experiences and what they went through. And without comparing, because you don't want to compare, but I heard things that I was like, I would have gotten absolutely drunk if I had gone through what that person went through and they didn't drink and they're okay. So it's like, and you all put your problems into a pile and you hear other people's problems. You're like, I'm going to just take what I think my problems are and I'm going to take them back. Cause like you hear some really tragic things and you witness some really tragic. I mean, you were an officer. I'm sure you've seen people that started out that were like, a slap on the wrist. And maybe a couple of years later, they're like, 50 pounds lighter, living in a cardboard box, trying to find their fix. And you're like, how did you go from this nice looking, regular human being to
all the time
a suffering human on the side of the street? And I'm sure you all the time. So it's whatever is out there, whatever you need to find, combination of one or combination of some, whatever connects with you, go connect with it and try it, right? And figure out what works for you because it's not going to work for everybody. There's a history of it working for a lot of people. I know some people that they had an experience like yours. They believed that they were an alcoholic and they went to treatment and they did some counseling, they did some fellowship, they did some meetings, they maintained that afterwards, and it worked. I know other people that have done a combination of all, and they're permanently erased from this planet.
Right. Yeah.
So it's whatever works is my kind of take as somebody that's 15 years sober. I know what works for me. If you are interested in what works or what's working for me, I'll talk to you about it. I'll share about it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to demand that you do anything because I don't.
See, that's the thing right there. That's good. You know, like.
Because most people don't do well with authority. Or someone being like, do this, do this.
That's right.
I didn't.
That's right.
But I got to a point in life where I was broken on all those levels I was asking, please, I don't know what to do. Please tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And I was in front of people that did it this way, and I proceeded to do that.
One thing, regardless of whether you go to 12 step or fellowship, as you call it, it doesn't matter where you go, but one thing that links all of them together is there has to be some connection to other people that are going through the same process.
Yeah, community. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because, I mean, I just don't see it working anyway. I mean, a one man alone can't just say, I'm going to quit, I'm going to change. Very rare does that happen. There has to be a support factor there, man.
Couldn't agree more.
You know,
couldn't agree more. I had tried to be that person that, this is, like I said, this is how it's going to be different this time.
Yeah.
This is how I'm going to do this differently. And when you don't know how to do it differently and you replay the same thing that you've been doing, you end up with the same result, which is what I ended up with. So having a community of people and people that I could go to that had gone through similar situations, even at 1 year of being sober to 5, there's an evolution, right? And it's like, I haven't thought about picking up a drink or a drug in a long time. Mm-hmm. You know, you smell things, or I go out, like I don't avoid places. I'm not going to go to like a rave where it's like drugs and alcohol, like in my face, just not out of fear of doing it, because like, I just don't want to be there. Right. But it's more about that emotional sobriety today for me. And like, I used to hear people that had a little bit of time talk about that. And I was like, this is bullshit. Like, what are you talking about? Because I didn't fathom that younger, because I didn't know how to stop drinking or drugging. Mm-hmm. And then once it's been removed and you have a way of doing things, you do it. And emotional sobriety is like, how am I going to act as a man today, right? How am I going to act as a husband today, a business owner today, a coach today, a trainer today, a son today? Because there's so many roles that we have, and I want to say play, but we do. Sure. We play these roles in our life, and there's times I don't want to show up to do that, right? And there's times where it's like, not because I want to drink or drug, but like, I want to stir the pot a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I want to poke the bear a little bit. I want to create a little chaos. And
yeah, I mean, no doubt.
I used to be addicted to that. So like that little part of me is still inside that's saying like, hey, probably this isn't the right thing to do, saying it this way or reacting this way or acting this way. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest things for me is acting in accordance with, how I started my life over again with the help of a lot of other people. Right. And living, like my father died before I got sober. Right. And he was an amazing man and was an amazing father. Like, haven't met another human like him. And someone, and what killed me in the very beginning is I'll never be able to look him in the eye and tell him I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because how many times I said I was sorry to him and I never meant it.
Sure.
But taking that and walking forward, and like, that's like the living amends that they talk about, which is I can't ever speak with him. I can pray, I can meditate, I can put it out there, mm-hmm. but the only way I can honor him is by living in accordance with like doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Because he was the definition of that for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Fast forward, here we are.
Yeah. 2025.
Talk to me about the things that have changed in your life and how you've managed to really be 15 years sober and really, especially for those who are maybe coming out of their first 3 months or 6 months being sober, and they're like, damn, I got to go a long way. Right. But, I mean, your story now, where are you at now in your life?
Yeah, it really is an amazing life. I'm taking a minute because I'm experiencing things in life that I never thought I would be able to experience. Mm-hmm. Right. The girl that I was dating when I was just coming around, I told her to run away. She's my best friend, agreed to marry me. She's my wife. She's my business partner, my best friend. And while that may sound corny to some, and I remember hearing that before I knew what that felt like,
sure,
thinking it was silly. But like, this is an amazing woman that I get to live life with and do life with. We like to say we over communicate a lot because we talk about a lot of things, sometimes to excess where it's like, it's a lot, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. I have this amazing business and it's really hard. And I'm not saying that to complain. I'm just saying being an entrepreneur, I don't think I chose it, but like you kind of, when you do business and you're doing what you're doing, your bottom line is you. Oh. You may have people that work for you or do things for you, but like at the end of the day, it's up to you. Mm-hmm. In our business, it's very much up to us, but it's also up to other people that make decisions on whether we excel and move forward or we have to wait. And there have been times where there's a tremendous amount of learning and patience on how to expand and grow a product. The other side of the business, the gym side, is working with people, seeing people's bodies change, seeing people's lives change, giving people opportunities to come in, build a book of business. And training is an interesting space, right? Because if you have a good trainer, eventually you would assume they're going to go open their own space, which I think a lot of people forget. I never thought I would open my own space, and I didn't believe that I would ever do that. And I would always seek somebody, be like, hey, I would try to find someone to tell me like, dude, that's crazy, dude. What are you talking about? But anytime I did it, they're like, yeah, man, it's like 2 years past due. Why haven't you done it yet? And I'm like, what do you mean? Why haven't I?
Right.
Talking about? Yeah. Like, yeah, dude, you were ready for that 2 years ago, but you had to be ready.
That's right.
I have an amazing group of people in my life that I get to call on, that hold me accountable and that I hold accountable to. Community is amazing. Like this is a very rich area in recovery. There's some tough spots, right? And we've seen that. If you've been down in Florida, you were in law enforcement. I mean, you've seen some things that where this can go the wrong way or go the way that we don't hope it goes.
Sure.
But then there's a tremendous amount of recovery, people starting businesses. I've seen families reunited, people having babies, just like these crazy gifts of life, right? That, whatever you believe in, God, higher power, Jesus Christ, whatever it is, like whatever blessings that are out there and that were given to us. And like, there are times when things are so peaceful where it's like, how do I start a war? Right? Like, how do I create a little chaos? Cause sometimes I don't feel like I deserve it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Of course.
Where it's like, things are going well. Yep. And it's like, I'm not waiting for something to go wrong, but I also, it's like, I've done some of the self-help stuff, the Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk's, you name it. I've listened to the podcast and, a lot of things. It's like, if you're living a life beyond your wildest dreams and you're in it, I think there's always like, I struggle with the what's next.
Yeah.
And
the sequence,
like I prayed this morning for presence and coming on the show and just being present with you. And not the fact that I know what I'm doing after this, but like just being present here because this is an honor to be on in someone's studio to talk with somebody that's doing something that they love. And it's like, I have to be fully present and share because maybe I can help one person. A bunch of other people could be like, man, I hate, like I've done other podcasts where like, dude, your hat's stupid. You can't believe you're doing this. And there's a lot of hate out there.
Oh man.
And what's really hard is sometimes I feel like I wish I knew how to act like that person because I don't know anything other than like coming like with like me and love and it's hurtful. Sometimes it's it's like in the journey, it's like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, whether, married, family or not, it can feel very lonely where you're like, I see this, I feel this, I'm working towards this. No one else sees it, but I'm being guided by something to go do it.
Without a doubt.
And, sometimes when it's not working out the way that I think I'm hoping and I'm praying it should, I'm like, am I missing something? Was there something else that I'm supposed to be doing? Is this not right now? It's like people are being removed from my life and it makes me sad, but it's like, are those people being removed from my life because they're not able to serve in the capacity of being near me for the future of what's going on?
That's right.
I don't know.
That's right.
And like, it gets to that point where I can feel very lonely, but loved and surrounded by the people that love me the most. And not focus on, well, why am I not talking to this group of people right now, even though I love them very much, they have this going on. So it's the growth of like where I'm at now, I battle it. Like I was down earlier this week. I was down on myself. I called a buddy. We ended up getting a workout in and I just said, man, can I just dump right now? Like, just like tell you what's going on and what I'm thinking, because like, it just doesn't feel good. And he heard me out. And, he reminded me, and he wasn't blowing smoke, but he reminded me, he's like, we all have these up peaks and valleys. And, I call a mentor and talk to somebody else and just kind of like tell them what's going on. And that's the biggest thing now, because what I used to do was I would hold it in. Like you said, men are struggling, right? Hold it in, be a man. Don't talk about it. Don't share about it. Figure it out. It never worked for me.
Sure.
You know? And again, I wasn't raised that way, but like, I think it's super important, right? To when things are going well, stay present in them going well, and just because things can change like that.
Yeah.
And
without a doubt.
That's where I struggle sometimes.
Yeah. That's a lot to unpack there, but that's good. That's good. That's good. So I think I'm like right around 11,400 and something men is what I have coached over the last 10 years, my decade. Okay. That has been a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
Okay. Our programs, we run programs every couple of months. We just had a father and son program here. I mean, so we're all over, and we're all over Latin America and Europe. And so we've expanded a lot over the last 8 years.
Congrats, man. It's really,
and, but I say that, not to impress you, but to impress upon you that the reality is that a lot of men, specifically, you mentioned something that kind of stuck with me. You said sometimes, you have to bring the chaos. Okay. And yes, I really believe men operate at the highest level when they are fighting for something.
Yeah.
Okay. What I have found over and over again is when a man gets sedated, and when a man is just, he feels content, right, in his current environment, and he doesn't aspire to be something greater, or there's a fight to fight, he loses that edge, and more importantly, he loses that purpose. So I love the fact that you know where you stand now. Like, you have a good grasp, and you appreciate the people around you. And I believe that you appreciate the people around you because they make you better, because they make you a better human being, and because maybe they hold you accountable. I mean, I don't know. I've been married for 21 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Congrats. Beautiful.
And I have 4 kids. 2 of them are working here. 1 of them is in law school in Alabama, and I have a little 12-year-old daughter. Okay. Raising, my kids and just through that time, it's taken me to a level where I've had to man up in areas that, for the most part, I was unaware, because nobody gives you a booklet how to be a father, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Or for that matter, how to be a husband,
Sure.
Right? So there's always different, every man is very different. You're on your own journey. Joey's in his own journey. David's in his own journey. I'm on my own journey. So we all have our own journey. But one thing that holds us together is the common bond that we are fighters. We are wolf hunters. We go out there and, we can be savages on one spectrum and then compassionate, loving human beings on the other.
All right.
So it seems to me like you strike that balance pretty good. You go out there, you hit the gym, you're strong, you're physically fit. It seems like you carry yourself well. And then on the other side, you talk about love and compassion. You talk about your wife as being a business partner. That's all great, man. That's really good. But I got a question.
Yeah.
To get to the level where you are now, where you feel that happiness and that togetherness, is there, or should I say, is there a part of you that you want more, that you're looking to, to strive for higher, maybe at a higher level?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of comes back to that conversation that I had with a buddy the other day. And he said it in a way, he's like, you're one of the most consistent people I know in everything you do. He's like, and I think when you get consistent, or you get, as you said, like you have this, you're content, right? Like, I don't think I'm content, but never fully content. And what he shared with me, and I know, is like, he's like, you're always seeking. And sometimes you're seeking in ways that are positive, like most ways that are positive, where
Sure.
I'm seeking to improve upon, better, help, serve, love, whatever the word is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always seeking to do more because I always feel like, I think for so long, I wasn't raised that way, but I once I crossed over that threshold, I was a taker.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying, like, if I sat down, I'm like, what am I going to take from this guy? How am I going to get him to do what I need him to do, manipulate, like play the game, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what a sick, suffering alcoholic addict would do, and that's always a piece of me.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm always seeking for like, what's next I want to improve upon. And I have people in my life that do hold me accountable. Like if I'm like, man, this didn't happen. I thought this, working on this, I was doing this, I've had people say, and I've shared it on podcasts before. If I'm at my buddy, I'll call him, hey man, are you at the office? Yeah. Why? Do me a favor. Walk outside really quick. And I know exactly where he's going. He's like, you remember right outside the road? Remember when you were coming back from gun club and you wanted to kill yourself on Clintmore because you were going home? And that was your plan? And that's what you thought was the best thing for life and everybody around you? And I'm like, right. Yeah. And it's like, I know I've come very far with the help of a lot of people.
Sure.
I know I've put in a ton of effort. I know I have a belief system. I have a ways of doing things, and I'm going to constantly seek until there's no more no more air in my lungs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really, I think that's really important. I could be wrong, right? Like I know some people are like, they get to a certain point in life and they are so content that they're like, life is not going to get any better, and maybe it won't. I don't know. It's like. I share this too. It's like, I have a good friend of mine. I've known him for years. He's a father of two, and his wife just passed away at 39 years old.
Damn, that's young.
Brain cancer. And it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
And talking to him and trying to have a conversation about universe, love, God, service.
He's not connected like that.
Oh, he's connected.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Deeply. And like one of the hardest things when he shared with me, when his wife was like, I'm okay. I'm going where I know I'm going.
Tough.
And I can't wait for you and the kids to get there when it's your turn.
Sure.
And I was like, I can't even imagine having that conversation. It gives me goosebumps because like, I don't know what I would do in his situation.
Yeah.
But watching him be a father, be a man, be a business owner, and still show up for life while half of him is gone.
Yeah.
I say this with respect, gives me strength and fuels me up and fires me up. Just like in sobriety, when it's like I watch somebody doing the right thing, gets me fired up. But I also, when I see someone do the wrong thing, I don't wish wrong on them, but it's like that's fuel too, because that could be me.
Sure.
Right. So it's like,
sure.
Like you said, the wolves, like which wolf am I feeding today? Light or dark?
Yeah.
Am I going to go down the spiral?
Yep.
Or am I going to be the champion?
Yeah.
I'm battle tested, right? Like we work our minds, we work our bodies, we work our everything.
It's very good you say that, because it's it's a constant, there's always balancing acts, right? Here and there and all over the place. I mean, you're no matter what, you're constantly trying to find a balance, right? But we can't operate in a perfect balance all the time. Sometimes we are so heavily weighted here that we got to just do what we need to do over here and then come back and then figure it out. So, but I think you've done a great job. Now, talk to me about how you, together with your wife, okay? A lot of people that I know, men, they're like, I can't really have a business with my wife. The connection, So how does that work?
Communication.
Okay.
I think having, like any business, right, a definitive roles of what is handled in certain regards has to be discussed and has to be worked out and like tweaked, right? There's certain things that I can do, but she does way better. And she should be doing because she does it better than me. And it's like flawless. It would take me more effort and time. And then there's things that I can do that she definitely can do, but would rather not, because I do it a little bit better. And it's like when you have those components and like coming together and balancing that, like she handles the day to day. She's the CEO. She handles the office and everything. And then we have someone underneath her that has risen from, we knew this girl since middle school and she stepped up big. She's the director of operations. Like, to the point where like if something breaks down, it's like her and I have worked on it together, and she can, like we learn together. Mm-hmm. It was us three. Now there's more. And so it's like going through each part of the business and learning each role and each thing. It's like, hey, I know how to do this. I don't know if I really want to do this, or I'm best fit to do this. And if there's someone else that can do it, they should do it. Or if they need assistance to do it, we help them do it. So I think the day-to-day and like in that role, it's like being a founder is great, right? But it comes back to the end, regardless of what goes on in that office day-to-day and in the manufacturing and the distribution. At the end of the day, I do feel like the buck stops with me, whereas if anything goes wrong, I'm going to take ownership of it because it's the thing that I got to start. And I know my wife feels the same, and she wears her heart on her sleeve and puts her blood, sweat, and tears into it. Yeah. And we're really fortunate. Like I'm sure in business, no one gives a shit about your business as much as you do, but we have people that care about what we're doing and care sometimes where it's almost frustrating for us, where I'm like, wow, they care so much. So the alternative is them not caring at all.
Of course.
And it being really frustrating versus them caring too much.
Now you're blessed. If somebody cares about your business, you know, that is so important.
And that's kind of how grateful we feel, like, you know, for that side of things. The gym side of things is great, right? Like people I've known start their book from nothing that are absolutely killing it because they put in 10 to 12 hour days in the beginning, and still sometimes do. Doing the coaching side of things and working, being that I've been around for a while and having the educational background, the counseling background, knowing people that are in the counseling field that are like, hey, I have a client, a young adult, or, you know, failure to launch, someone in their 20s or 30s that are just struggling perhaps with drugs or alcohol or just life in general. Would you talk to them? And are you open? Are your offices, you know, and it's, you know,
it's great.
It's an amazing feeling, right? And it's like, I mean, you've helped thousands of men over the amount of years. And it's like, I can't imagine how many of those thousands of men have helped one to thousands of other men, where it's like, we talk a lot about in sobriety, the ripple effect, right? Generational change, right? If you can help one person break that, if their father's father, their father, alcohol, and when one person stops that by getting sober, it's you've just changed generations to come of that person. I would assume the same goes for you. Change a man's approach.
Exponential, man. One little tweak along the way. You know, sometimes you got to break the family's curse. Right. You know,
and it's hard because even though it's killing them, they hang on to it because it's comfortable and they know it, even though it's killing them. Just like an addiction or anything else, or anything that's not serving the general person or the persons around them, whether it's the family or a business or whatever. So I think it's extremely important for communication. Number one for me and my wife, and the people around. Cause like, I don't want to be yesed. I want, you know, like I want to be, I would say, like, no one likes to be challenged, but like, give me some feedback. You know? I've had people come and go in the gym, be like, okay, so it's like, if you're leaving, tell me what's going on. Like, why? What can we do better?
Sure.
Well, I'm leaving because there's more space well, I can't change the space. The space is the space, but God bless, I understand why you're doing that. Or, you know, I just, I have a better, you know, if you have I always want to see people win. And for a long time, I didn't. For a long time when I was doing my thing, I was like, oh, it must be nice. Oh, Ralph, oh, cool. Yeah, he's coached all these people. He travels around the world. It must be nice for him. It's like, it is probably really nice for you. You worked really hard. Like, but the old me would have been like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. But like when I had the opportunity to come on the show, it's like, I don't like doing too much research because I like to just sit down with the person and meet them where they're at. But like, it's very easy to find all the stuff that you've done. And the impact that you've created. And I'm assuming that that's one of the most important things. Again, I'm not trying to ask the question to the guy that's running the show. No, it is. I
mean, it's important to leave a legacy and to leave, you know, I mean, I tell my kids, you know, when I pass, I mean, I would love to have this, you know, we created a brotherhood of hundreds of men. It's a real strong brotherhood, and we're growing that, you know, every year we grow it. And it's a big deal. You know, it's I put my heart and soul into it. Without a doubt. It feels great. Yeah. I mean, it's probably one of the I guess the great feelings that I have when I get out of bed. You know, in the morning, I'm like, boom, I know that I'm doing God's work and I'm out there, you know.
My question, may I ask another question?
Sure.
Is when you were starting this, right? You're law enforcement. Law enforcement works hard, puts yourself in the line of some pretty gnarly situations. But for the most part, people that I know that do that, or firefighter or whatever, it's like you get a good pension, whatever. It's like when you left, or maybe you completed your service and you started this. My question to you is, how many people are like, Rafa, bro, this is stupid?
Well, my story goes like this. I was a Wall Street broker for 12 years, making almost $800,000 a year.
Right.
When I sat down in front of my wife and I said, honey, 1 year into it and I had a baby on the way, and my wife looks at me and says, what are you about to tell me? And I go, listen, you know, I know you met me as a broker. You know, we have a beautiful home, beautiful cars, beautiful life, but there's a calling inside of me to do something greater. Wow. 9/11 had just occurred, and I had seen those police officers and the firefighters, and it just like lit me up inside. And I said, listen, I want to go out there and serve. The military, not interested. I was never really into. I always a big narcotics cop guy, all SWAT guy. That's what.
We're on the opposite ends.
Yeah. So exactly. So that was, and you know, so finally, she said okay. She gave me the blessing, and she stuck with me in the worst times of my life, because I transitioned from having almost everything to having absolutely nothing, losing my house in foreclosure, having cars repossessed, barely making enough money to put anything on the table. I went from $750,000 a year to $38,000 a year. Okay. Just like that. And the worst part about it is that I went into one of the most violent cities, not only in the state, but in the country, Riviera Beach, which is north of here. Okay.
When you said that at first, I was like Miami, and then I was like, I think he's saying Riviera Beach.
Yeah.
That was before my time, though.
Yeah. So I worked there, and then, you know, but the good thing is, listen, you know, I went, you know, I became, you know, narcotics cop for many, many years, and I was able to be attached to the tactical diversion squad and to the DEA task force, all of it. You know, my career was what 1% of cops get to do. So I was blessed. And with that said, you know, I saw a lot of things, you know, from a narcotics perspective, from people overdosing. And there was even still now, I just retired 4 years ago. But you asked me about my company, okay? I started building Man of War 3 years before I retired. Yeah. 3 years before I hung my badge. And I started putting in the time and the effort and putting in the time and the effort. And people don't really understand that. But to build this podcast to 40 million views, downloads where it is right now, to build it from back in 2016 when I started, I would work my 12-hour days, come home and put in another 2 or 3 hours getting guests on at 10:30 at night. And I had to be in briefing at 4 o'clock in the morning. All right. So that's kind of like how this worked and how I built this house. But, you know, it took a tremendous amount to build this. And then when I started putting the programs together, and the Crucible is considered one of the most difficult programs in the world, bar none, for any man. You know, our dropout rate is 40%, extremely intense program. And, you know, you get to a point where you start developing a lot of haters. Okay, a lot of people hate pushing men, having them, you know, push themselves beyond their limits. And then they don't like that. A lot of men like to sit sedated in their own world, in their own environment. So when you have a guy like you come around and say, hey, look, a lot of these guys that are sedated, that have gone the wrong way, that are drinking, or that, you know, are now, you know, drug addicts or whatever, someone that has, it seems like you really have a good balance on you, man. Like you can be stern, but you have a lot of love to give. And that is hard to find.
I like, you use stern. A lot of people say intense,
you know, there's, and, you know, and, you know, but it's a matter of being able to, to deliver the message in a way that the person is going to absorb it, whether you are whatever, however you do it. Yeah. Okay. In my world, you talk about intensity, very high intensity. When I deliver messages, it's cutthroat messages. It's very direct to the heart. Sometimes it doesn't sound very well, but it hits guys, and it hits them where it counts. Yeah. And I see that men sometimes need that to shake them off, to shake them up a little bit. But with that said, I want to ask you about the time and how you built your company, because how did you all of a sudden decide to start doing, what you do? I'm going to let you explain it better than me. I don't want to crap on it. Explain how you were doing it, and then take it from actually an idea to fruition where it is right now.
Yeah. So basically kind of how I'll get to what you said is basically I'm working several different jobs, for the first 3 years of sobriety to pay off debt.
Sure.
I don't want to say get my head above water. I wasn't allowed to drive.
Yeah, that sucks.
But it taught me the appreciation of having a vehicle and a license and the ability to transport myself pre-Uber. Like otherwise I'm riding the buses. But I don't know if you want to call it like divine intervention or whatever it was, but essentially getting sober, no one was hiring me as a teacher or coach. They were like, hey man, like, we know you're a good guy. But the schools that I worked at, the families weren't too keen on having someone that just got arrested for what I got arrested for as
sure.
DUI around, even though they knew it was a mistake.
Sure.
Which is understandable. So I realized I was never going to be able to do that. So I was working a couple different side jobs and getting hired by a family friend actually right up the road. And I was living off Jog and Clintmore behind the gas station in those town apartments. So I'd be able to bike everywhere, right? So I was working and I was just doing what I was told, and I was biking over to Patch Reef Park and coaching kids. And there were still some families like, hey man, I know you went through it and you're a good guy, and like my kid really like identify with you and coaching. Can we still do some baseball lessons? So I was doing a little bit of that. I was, taking care of myself, which is first and foremost, the most important. And I was sitting at a desk, and essentially I had, I was given a job, and in that job, it was like, hey, here's something to do on Monday. You have till Friday to do it. If I finished it Wednesday, they're like, just sit there, and if we need you, we'll come get you. So I had some time on my hands. I had to be there. So I was just kind of sitting there and like, what do I like to do? I didn't have a ton of money. I was biking around a lot. I was running everywhere. I was working out. I was staying fit. And like, I just needed something. When you pack a bag for the day and you're not going home till the end of the day, you're required to change your clothes because it rains here. Training clothes. And like I needed some snacks. And I just started literally making this thing in my house. And it was like mixing some peanut butter together with some whey protein and a couple other things and putting them in a bag, and off I would go.
Crazy. Yeah.
Crazy. And eventually I was, training other people, training young adults, and the parents, they're like, oh, I want to try them. I ask your parents, like peanut allergies. I don't know. I don't want, God forbid you have an anaphylactic shock. I don't know. And, a couple of people were like, wow, this is really good. You should do something with this. One woman in particular was like, what do you call this? I was like, I don't call it anything. I just make it. It goes in my bag and and she's like, wow, this is good. Can you make it? And I like, obviously training and tutoring, I go in or take all the ingredients that I find that I use in a common cupboard. I put it together. I make it for her. She's like, wow, this is good. And my kid loves it. My kid doesn't like anything. Oh, okay. Don't think anything of it. I'm starting to train at a buddy's gym, and I had these things with me at all times. And it's like, just like I came here today, like, I just want people to try it. Hey, let me know. You could hate it. You'd be like, dude, I'm allergic to peanut butter. All right, throw them in the garbage. I don't know. But I just started sharing it with people, and we share this all the time. I never started to be a business. It was something that I loved for myself, that I thought tasted good, that I just shared with people. And then I started learning about, like, I had done a little food prep outside of getting out of rehab, and I was like doing I could cook, but nothing crazy. I wasn't like making Michelin meals. I was making, prepared meals before prepared meals started taking off.
Sure.
Because I met that guy in rehab, and he did it in the Carolinas, and he was like, can you make 800 burritos with chicken and beans? I'm like, dude, I got you. Yeah, hire me, And I just started sharing it with everybody. So essentially it went from sharing something in a plastic wrapped bag.
How did you get the idea, before we move forward, of just putting peanut butter and some condiments together? Like, how you just...
I didn't really have much going on. So I was literally just at home and I was like, oh yeah, like I can make this. Like, you're a kid, you make cookies with your mom if you had a cool mom, and like you made like stuff growing up. And I was like, oh, I got to make something. I have no money. I'm not going to GNC. I'm not, protein powder. I have the basics.
Right.
And I'm like, let me just throw this together. I love dessert. Let's be clear about that.
Okay.
I'm a dessert.
I got you.
And I was like, man, this is a healthy thing. It has protein in it. And I like it.
Cool.
And that's it. That was it.
Wow.
Totally, like, that was it. And from training and doing all these different jobs, I ran into a gal and she tried it and she was like, wow, this is good. I own a juice bar. And I'm like, cool. What's the juice bar? She's like, well, we sell juice and protein shakes. And she's like, I'd love to carry your product. And I was like, what do you mean?
What product?
100 of these? And I'm like, 100? Yeah. I make like 5 or 6 at a time. I had a little brownie tray thing. I was just, that was it. And so I figured out how to make 100. And I was just repeating that same step, wrapping them in a hand package. And I brought her 100 and she's like, how much are these? And I was like, I don't know. You just asked me to, I made you 100. And she's like, well, what am I going to sell them for? I was like, I don't know. She's like, you don't know what it costs you to do that? I said, I'm really sorry. I made you 100. You asked me to make you 100 and I brought them to you. I literally biked, like, I don't know what I'm doing, essentially.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, well, I'm going to sell them for these. I'm going to sell them for this. And like, I can't pay you anything now because I don't know what you paid for it. So call a consignment. So if I sell these, I'll give you this. And I was like, okay, great. And I like ran out of there because I didn't want her to change her mind. And a couple of days later, she called me. She's like, hey, I sold out. I said, what do you mean? She's like, yeah. She's like, I put them when people bought their shake or their juice, they grabbed a bar because it was right there and they love it. She goes, I have a check for you. Can you bring me another 100? So I showed up with another 100 and she gave me a check. And I was like, huh. I was like, went home and like told Chelsea, my wife, I was like, I just got paid she's like, okay, cool. Like she like cared, but like was like, great. Like you made like $150. It's awesome. And that's how it started. And that little thing of like meeting her, someone else trying them. Hey, I have a juice bar in Delray. Oh, I have a food spot in Delray. Oh, I have this coffee shop in Boynton. And that's how it slowly started. So I show up to my job. I would work 8 to 10 hours. I would train people. And then at night I would make this product and I would wrap it up and I would get it to the stores however I could. If like my wife had to drive me at the time or I had to take a bus or whatever it was. And I literally just started sharing the product like that. And eventually we grew to the point where we had to learn about the FDA and we had to learn about proper packaging. And if you wanted to sell as the Cottage Act, which allows so many green markets for people to sell their product because it's made at home. And I thought, man, I want mine to be again, nothing wrong with that, but I wanted a little professional feel as like, this is something. And I want people to treat this like it is.
Sure.
And I rented a space and I rented a kitchen and I was like, what am I doing? And I'm creating. And as I'm creating out there, one of the employees is like, hey, like, do you need help? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't really have much money. Like, well, I'm already here. Just pay me, if you make them, I'll wrap them. I was like, cool.
You have the box there?
Yeah.
I get them.
So, it started as just like this crudely wrapped thing in plastic wrap. And then we went to a Ziploc pouch to a seal, a press and seal to, all these different things. Ends up now to where it's like, we make this, we
very
make
cool
thousands of bars and wrap thousands of bars like that.
You got the machines and things like that, and
machines. Wow. We got the whole. Here, I got you. We got the whole thing where it's like we can go from.
Wow! Look at that.
And
wow! So you have all these flavors: salted pistachio. Wow! Chocolate chip, birthday cake. Holy
that's
moly!
The original one right there. That's the first
peanut butter. Amazing.
Chocolate peanut butter. Yeah.
And you have them in such like very, bite-sized. I like that.
And that was the biggest thing, right? I wasn't trying to be a protein bar. I wasn't trying to be a thing. And what led to us sharing with a bunch of people and having the ability to
I'm gonna try this.
Yeah, not right now. Let's wait, because you're gonna talk, and then there's peanut butter, and everybody, you got the water, but yeah, that's a lot of pressure for me. That's a lot of pressure for me. But
this is great, man. I like it.
As I'm starting to do this, my wife was like, "Hey, I want to help you," and she was working at a really high end company at the top. She had worked her way up, and like there was no more that she could do, and she was like, "I want to help you," and I'm like, "I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning." And so when we left this facility out west, we went to Boynton. She quit her job, like you said.
Damn. So she really said all in.
She's all in, and she was familiar with running a company. And she came in and I wrote things down in a notebook with pencil. She used a computer. It's like organizing things, a website, and all this other stuff that she was familiar with. Like we talked about what works and what we do best. Like I can do this all day. I can sling peanut butter, and we can talk about snacks and working out and professional development, personal development all day until nighttime. Oh. But like, that's what happened. And then someone came calling that was like, "Hey, what's this stuff I see on Facebook that you and the guy that you're dating are doing?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, good to see you. We haven't seen you since camp. And I'm doing, it's his company and we're trying to figure it out." She's like, "It looks so good. I can't wait to try it. I work at Whole Foods." And we're like, "Oh, cool. Like what?" Like it didn't look like this. It was just crude. It was just still very basic. And we're like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "You got to come in and you got to share with the team." And we're like, "Okay." So we went to Fort Lauderdale corporate, sat in front of the team, talking about the product. And keep in mind, these people you have like that stoic face. They're just looking at you like, And I'm like, they already ate it. I saw that they liked it because I watched their response. But they've been pitched all morning on product because it was like a product day. New product day. We were probably number 50, whatever we were in the lineup. Yeah. But as we're talking, my wife was like, "Guys, listen, you know about the bar. You like the bar. Like the only reason that this is working is my husband got sober at the time. I was 6 years or 7 years sober. Got sober. He started this. We're learning as we go. This is a business that he started. It's giving back to the community. He's helping people, and that's all. And like we know you have a ton of other people coming in here today, but like that's our story." And the guy was like, "More." And so we just told our story, and he was like, "That's what I want to talk about. Product's great. What's the story behind it?" So, and that's kind of how we started, like really starting to make some waves. And like I said, being in this business, you've been to the grocery stores. We're in the refrigerated section, so we compete with like 5 or 6 other products that are massively owned by huge companies that have a ton of money to back them. Mm-hmm. It's tough. It's tough to compete. We're doing a good job.
Where did you get the name from? What's behind the name Fro Pro?
I started out at my house when I was using that tray. I like cold dessert, so it was frozen protein, Fro Pro. So it's best refrigerated, but it doesn't have to be. I think it tastes better that way. We are sold in the refrigerated sections, but if stores that do carry us out in like room temperature, that's totally fine too.
Now, are these sold in boxes like this, or are they sold individual? Okay.
They're sold individually and in boxes of 12. Okay. These are like our fun little 6-packs that we do for like demos, or like we send to influencers, or we share with like events, or like I'm going to a fitness event in Dallas. There's 14 athletes competing in my group. Like everybody's going to get a box of Fro Pro just because like we want people to enjoy it. Right. And like, again, unless you have a peanut butter allergy or severely allergic, the product's not for you. I'm sorry. But, it's, I can't be everything to anybody. And we tried. Of course not. I did an almond butter line. It worked well. And then we just got to focus on what we're really good at. Do we have other SKU ideas and other things that we'd like to branch off on? Yes. Do I think this is where it needs to be to do that? No. We have a long way to go, and we always say like we have a great team. We have the ability to do it. We have the ability to manufacture, like people have come to us and be like, "Hey, will you make our product for us?" And like, it has our name is stamped on the bar, but that's just a special feature. Like
now tell me something. I mean, like this is made, with ingredients and things like that. I mean, it looks like it's very clean. Yeah.
It's organic peanut butter, plant-based protein, gluten-free oats, honey, and cinnamon.
Also, this is straight up.
It's like a healthy Reese's peanut butter cup.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, people have issues and there's certain trends. And I'm sure you remember the trend where everything had adaptogens, and mushrooms, and teas.
Yes. All sorts of weird stuff.
Everybody's worried about, well, what about, seed oils? And I'm like, yeah, totally get it. Like, we're not throwing canola in there, but like we use peanut butter that is a nationally recognized peanut butter brand. We tell everybody where peanut butter comes from. Like we're very transparent. If people are like, I want to see where your bars are made. Come on by, look at what we do. We have, like, this is who we are. This is what we do. These are the ingredients we use. Other than handing you the recipe.
That's right.
I want people to see it. I want people to feel, and people come in there like, oh, yeah, it's some people are like, oh, I thought it would be bigger. And other people are like, this is massive.
Yeah.
Because like the machines are, one of them wouldn't even, it would take 3 of these rooms to fit in the studio.
Wow.
It's
they're huge, huh?
Huge. And it's like, I didn't think in 2010 getting sober that I would be purchasing a machine that was the equivalent of a small house.
Wow.
To facilitate a small idea that I made in a brownie band.
That's incredible. That's great.
So
it's a great story.
The journey is still going. We have a long way to go. We are truly grateful for everybody that's helped along the way and the people that have come and gone, what we've learned, where we are, where we're trying to go. And I say this not to be negative, but like, if this didn't exist tomorrow, it would be okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you would still exist if this wasn't here tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. Of course. You don't identify yourself with that. It's just,
For a minute I did.
You did.
And I want to be very clear. Like I was obviously really proud of it. And it was like, some people don't even know my name. They're just like, hey, you're the Fro guy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Matt. Hi, I'm Matt. And it's cool. And we've got, like you said, there's been a lot of hate. Like, oh, bro, it's peanut butter in a pouch. Like, cool idea. And I'm like, thank you. Okay. If other people are like, oh, your product sucks. Okay.
There are trolls that.
And then I've had people write in letters. They're like, hey, thank you so much for recovering out loud. I'm 3 years sober. I'm doing boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
Hey, I shared your product with someone and they don't even like peanut butter, but I just said, hey, look at their story. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah. That's powerful.
Even if this goes away, like you're talking about impact, like, when you and I aren't here permanently anymore, the difference has been made and the impact has been done. Yeah. To the best of our ability.
Before we close up, talk to me a little bit about your spirituality. Where are you with that in your life?
Interesting you say that. So grew up Episcopalian, religious, went through, I was a, candle bearer, altar. I gave a sermon when I was a kid. I was heavily involved in the church. I don't think I ever renounced God in my addiction, but I certainly didn't behave like somebody that was like a Christian man or somebody that believed in something greater than himself because of where I was at. I've come to believe in a power greater than myself, God, what you want to call it, higher power, universe, Jesus Christ, whatever it is, whatever works for people. I do believe there is a power greater than myself that's out there. I do believe I was saved and given another chance that I don't think I deserve, but I'm here and I struggle with that a lot. Because I'm like, when I see things happen to good people, I'm like, why am I here still and they're not?
Yes.
Now I've lately, I have a really close friend that I've incorporated. Someone gave me a recovery Bible back in my life years ago. And when we moved, I thought I had lost it. And I started reading that again, just to understand some things, just to like be familiar. Like if someone puts some literature in front of me, I'm going to read it just to try and understand it and like better identify with it. Cause like in my fellowship, a lot of that stuff is loosely based off. I mean, a lot of the stuff is based off the Bible. And there's a lot of people that don't believe in that, and that's fine. And I've seen people that get sober, get baptized and redeemed and all these different things. And
that's great.
Yeah. So I do believe, one thing I questioned though, and I had this conversation with someone that is very much involved in working with high net worth professional people in this space and helping them find higher power, God, Jesus Christ, whatever in the Christian faith. And he asked me, I went to a workshop and he's like, how is this hitting with you? And I said, it's hitting. I said, I feel like I surrender, I pray, I meditate, I listen. I feel like I'm trusting the process. Sometimes when things don't go, I like when you get news where you're like, man, I've been working so hard on this and it didn't happen. It's really hard for me to believe, or I question my faith sometimes. Like, am I doing something wrong here? Did I miss a direction along the way? Am I supposed to be doing something else? And I have another friend that he's like, dude, are you good with JC? And for a minute I hesitated because I don't necessarily use that word. And I don't know what about that word because I was raised with that, but it made me question it. Literally, I don't know when this is going to air, but it made me question it about a week ago. And I battled with it. And I said that to my friend. I said, of course I am. But it took me a second to respond. Like, are you familiar with the Bible?
Oh, very much so.
Right. So
yes.
Like when he denies God.
That's right. Yes.
3 times before the rooster crows.
Of course.
That was in one of my readings lately because I follow, it says whatever date it is, I read whatever scripture. Right now I'm in Acts and it's talking about the whole, hey, he is now, this is the sacrifice. You go forth and you carry the message. And I feel like I've been carrying the message of recovery and the message of faith.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I not doing it right? And like literally today's reading was about baptisms. And I've seen people, and I've been baptized as a kid. And I'm like, is this something I need to do over again? Do you do this a second time in life? Can you do it multiple times? I don't know. And I've been thinking about that question. And I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't want, like, I know what I believe, and I believe that there's a higher power. I choose to call him God. Yeah. I know if I were to deep dive into it, I know I'm familiar with the Trinity, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. And I've read the scriptures, and I've read a lot of other things, and like, I know it makes me feel good. I don't know if that was an answer to your question.
No, that's great. I mean, that's
right now,
that's, listen, every man, like I said earlier, you're on a journey, eventually you're going to see where that journey takes you. And for some men, they're going to get a lot closer to God. Yeah. They're going to find themselves through the Holy Spirit. Some men won't. I mean, I studied Zen Buddhism for many, many years. I'm the martial arts. I've been training 40 years, a big deal. I've studied, philosophy and theology across the board for years and years. And, I can tell you that there were some times that I was farther away from Christ. And then, there were some, I would be very close and then back away, and then very close and then back away. My wife is a pastor. Her father is a very well-known pastor. I mean, we live, by the word of God in our house. The kids are raised, all of them have gone to Christian schools, but you're in a journey and you can't rush someone. You can't push them through that journey. There has to be, everyone has a sequence in place. Right. So, I do coach a lot. A lot of my guys are part of my consulting firm is high net worth individuals only, CEOs and founders, right? And believe it or not, a lot of guys that are at the tip of the spear in their business, they question a lot of the Bible and they get confused. Sometimes they're in, sometimes they're out. And that's the internal war that we're constantly in. Now, I will say this, there will be a time and a place eventually where you will buy into it. And there's going to be a time that something happens in your life. And I believe that every man will reinvent himself 3, maybe 5 times in his life. Okay, that is a for sure thing. And in one of those reinventions, that man will eventually submit to something truly greater than himself. And for those who are atheists and are disconnected, what you start seeing is they start kind of either coming back to center, to a higher purpose or a higher power, or they completely flake away and they're gone. They're gone down a path where you're never going to bring them back. going back to the entrepreneurs and CEOs and founders, and, eventually they realize that, look, they have to believe. It's not even that they have to. It's that they are so incongruent with their sequence in life that there's something special there. And usually you start feeling that when you get a little bit older in age. Like right now, for me, I'm closer to God and Jesus Christ than I've ever been in my life. I feel like I'm doing God's work every day. And it happened for me through COVID. I almost died. I was very, very sick in the ICU. It was just a horrible experience. But I felt like in 2021 is when I made that calling came to me and said, you know what? A year after that, I hung the badge and I was building this house. So it's I think that every man will reach a crossroad where you know that you're all in or you'll be all out. It's one way or the other.
Yeah. And that's the thing I was telling us, like, I feel all in.
Yeah.
Like when I talk about that and I talk about the journey, it's like very much like God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. And I was brought into a group of people that believe. And
that's great.
It was amazing. And now it's like there's always an evolution, right? Like you reinvent, and I don't know if it's a reinvention or it's just an evolution of like, how do I get more connected and be able to do a better job of bringing other people to God or Jesus or
without a doubt,
whatever.
One thing that I always say is, listen, you want to be in rooms, right? And that's what that's my whole life is getting men into specific high level rooms, right? The discussions are different when you're speaking to people at a higher level. And not only that, but you want to be in a room where people are 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of you. If you are the smartest, wisest, fastest guy in that room, in reality, you're in the wrong room.
Correct.
Right? So you always want to be in rooms where people ahead of you. And some people, the way that they live their lives, and I've had mentors in my life where they live their lives in such incredible ways that you're like, man, they're married, they're strong, they have strong faith, their wife respects them, their kids respect them, yet they have tremendous affluence and influence where when they speak, people listen.
Right.
When you get to that level, you've done something right along the way.
Yeah.
And I think that you're doing some great things. I really do. And you're doing it from the heart, which is so important. I really believe that. And I think that we need more men like you. We need more men who actually do things not for the business, but because they care and they want to give back.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right, man. Thank you for being on. I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. Of course, share and like the content. So important. We want to make sure that this goes out to other men who really need to know more about walking the warrior's path and, of course, how to be a purpose-driven man in our day and age. May God bless you.